What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got another Piers Morgan debate coming in for you guys today. You're gonna love this one. We got a huge panel. We got Anna Kasparian, Mark Lamont Hill is on here. We got Natalie Winters, Sean Spicer. We got all kind of folks on this thing, and we get some ideas rolling back and forth. And there's a lot of blatant hypocrisy in this one, y'all, so get ready for that. We're going to get into all of it. We're going to break all this down. But before we do that, I need you guys to do me a huge favor. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here, and check out my regular videos. I say regular videos because I do these Piers Morgan debates on the weekend because they're fun. I love breaking these arguments down. I love just the discourse back and forth and flushing these ideas out. This is something we need more of in this country. But, you know, my regular videos, we break down politics, we break down the lies and the manipulations of the corporate press, so y'all make sure and check those out to stay up to date with all that stuff. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would be great if I could get you guys to do that for me. But without any further ado, let's get into it, y'all.
I love everything about her. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC, and personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that, but that's what I think. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two, count them, two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Phang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad.
So, Mark Lamont Hill, what's utterly bizarre about that rant from Rachel Maddow is that Joy Reid is being replaced on her show by not one person of color, but three. Two African Americans and a Latino. Isn't that a good thing? Isn't it the complete opposite of what she just told her viewers?
Ooh, in Rachel's monologue, which I'm not sure why you called it a rant, but in her monologue, she said that it was a mistake to lose Joy. And prior to the part that you cut from, she explained Joy's talent. She explained why it was a loss. She never called the network racist. I mean, I understand that that's your interpretation, and
well,
I do think it's a
she
mistake.
She said that the two people of colour in prime time were going, but she didn't point out that one of them is being replaced by three people of colour.
Right.
So the whole statement, the whole attack on her network was predicated on an absolute falsehood, which is that somehow they're taking the black people away, and this is awful. It's racist, was the clear insinuation.
Right, and I was trying to make a nuanced point, and if you allow me to finish the point uninterrupted as you allow Jason to, you'll hear it. I promise I won't go on a rant.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you can have a critique of someone making a mistake along the lines of race without them being racist. For example, saying, hey, we need racial representation on the show is to say that, hey, this is a network that has a huge black base, a huge black woman base. Hey, maybe it makes sense to have a popular black woman host stay on the show. That's her argument. There's an argument against it for ratings. I'm not making a case right now one way or the other on that point. My point more precisely is it's not necessarily racist, or you're not necessarily accusing someone of racism to say that they made a mistake along the lines of race. That's all I'm saying. And no, black people are not interchangeable. So even if I were to replace you, Piers, with another British white male host, not everybody has your talent. Not everybody has your knack for deep listening and careful listening. And so I can't say, well, I got rid of Piers, but here's another one. So, and I like the replacements, but I don't think that they're the same. And then finally here, you know, Joy Ann Reid, just to kind of what Jason said, to say she doesn't have any other talent, I think is just untrue. She has the fancy Harvard degree. She's an experienced journalist, and she has deep insights that she offers. Her show isn't about being a race baiter. This is the problem that I see that's the biggest, and that is that when someone responds to a race-based conversation, somehow they become the racist. She's responding to the cutting of DEI. She's responding to people saying DEI stands for didn't earn it. She's responding to people cutting affirmative action. All of that is race talk and race-based policy. She's critiquing the Republican response to race policy, and they're saying, look, she brought up race. No, she's pointing out the problem with how they're dealing with race.
Okay, so what the argument here seems to be is let's make all the insinuations that they're doing this based upon race. Let's call them racist without calling them racist. And then when it's brought up that, hey, sounds like you're insinuating that MSNBC was racist, let's point out the fact that they're replacing them with more black pundits, if you will, and let's say, oh, well, she didn't say that they were racist. She's just pointing out the fact that they made a mistake. Well, clearly, that's their mistake to make, but the ratings prove that otherwise. The ratings bear all this out, that she wasn't doing good at all. So something wasn't going good for her. Clearly, she was clearly racist. Most people could see her as this, and he's like, oh, no, she wasn't racist. She was just pointing out the fact that these guys are racists. When, as a matter of fact, pointing out the facts of DEI being racist, the fact that they hire based upon immutable characteristics, being racist, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. Like, you can't just make all this stuff up and, beat around the bush of the actual argument that's going on here, right? Joy Reid was clearly racist. And I love the fact that he's like, well, no, she was just pointing out that they are racist. Republicans are bad. No, clearly, we're pointing out that DEI policy is racist, and then we get called racist for pointing that out, for opening the door to show everybody that this is what this does. Yes, the qualifications for a job are no longer, can you do the position? That has been bumped down in priority, if you will. It's, are you a person of color? Do you check off a box? And then can we do the job? And then we look at merit, right? That's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how a meritocracy is supposed to work. You're supposed to hire the best person for the job, the best fit, regardless, right? It's illegal to hire people based upon race. And this is what DEI does. And this is why everybody, including Donald Trump, including the new administration, believes that this is nonsense and DEI doesn't work. We tried your little experiment. We found it to be racist because it is. Right? Just look at everything that's going on around the country, right? Firefighters, we have a lack of firefighters in California to fight all these freaking wildfires. White people are getting turned down for the job because, we have too many white people already. We need to diversify. Well, you know what? If you have a staffing shortage, you shouldn't care about that. You're putting the safety of the citizenry behind diversity of your employees. That's a bunch of nonsense, in my opinion. And so we go and point these things out. And then you get people like Joy Reid coming in saying, hey, look, these guys are racist because whatever reason she makes up to just say it's racist, to point out racism. Obviously, I guess that's what we're going with. So, yeah, it's a good thing she got fired. She doesn't need to be on the air. She's going to go the way of Don Lemon, for crying out loud. Nobody likes this person. Not many people like this person. She's just arrogant and racist. She comes off clearly racist. And, Rachel Maddow coming out and actually insinuating that, they're just getting rid of black people and not telling us the fact that they're replacing a black person with more people of color, 2 black people and a Latino, for crying out loud. Yeah, if she would have said that, nobody would have said a damn thing about that clip at all. Nobody would have said anything. We would have said, sure, fine, whatever. That's what they're doing. Rachel Maddow clearly likes Joy Reid. There's nothing to critique there. But when you don't tell people all the information, once again, the corporate press manipulating the facts of the situation, this is all they do. And by the way, this is what I point out constantly on my regular videos. So y'all go check them out. But let's keep going.
The biggest...
I don't think it's a double standard,
hang on.
But we should have been concerned.
All right, the biggest attacker on journalism and journalistic rights actually was Barack Obama, historically. He did more to erode the rights of journalists than anyone, never mind Trump. Let me bring in Anna here. I mean, it's a tricky area, this. What was clear is this extraordinary stat according to the National Journal. President Trump has taken over 1,000 questions from reporters in his first month of a second term, compared to Biden 141 and Obama 161. So this idea that he's not the most transparent president in modern times is for the birds. He clearly is. People may not like what he's saying, but he's taking questions from pretty much anyone all the time.
Well, I'm about to say things that will upset everyone on each side of the political aisle because honestly, I think that there are bad actors on both sides. So, for instance, there was a lack of transparency under the Biden administration, and that lack of transparency had to do with the fact that he was suffering from mental decline and everyone around him was hiding him from the public. So he didn't have nearly enough press briefings. They were kind of evasive with important questions, and that cover-up ultimately destroyed the Democratic Party, certainly in the last election cycle. Now, in regard to Donald Trump, I agree that it is a good thing to include members of independent media, new media. I think that's generally speaking a great thing. I would be far more celebratory if Donald Trump wasn't so devastatingly petty and also retaliatory against media that doesn't, serve his interests or do exactly what he wants. So, the AP is a good example. I think another example is this lawsuit against 60 Minutes. Obviously, when you're airing an interview on television, you have time constraints. You have to cut down on some of the content or the interview answers so it fits in so you can go to break. And I hate that model. I think live linear has a lot of downfalls, and that's one of them. But the idea that they intentionally edited her to make Kamala Harris sound better is laughable to me because whether it's the word salad answer on what's happening in Israel and Gaza or the shortened answer, I don't think she really particularly had a great answer. It didn't make her look good. And Trump won the election. What are you doing suing 60 Minutes over this? That's insanity.
Well, I think if you faced as he did,
100%.
if you faced 2 years of relentless bullshit about Russia collusion, you've probably got a very, very cynical view of the way the very liberal skewed mainstream media has behaved towards you. And Trump, he's got I always say he has the thinnest skin I've ever met and the thickest. He can take stuff that would destroy anybody else, but he's going to react to absolutely every slight that anyone imposes on him. It's just his nature. He ain't going to change at 78, I can tell you.
I understand what you're saying, Piers. I understand what you're saying, but understand that, do we value our Constitution or not? Do we value freedom of the press or not? Do we value the idea that the government cannot retaliate against you over your speech in America?
Yeah.
I value those things.
Yeah.
And it's really important for the president, through his actions, to prove that he also values those things.
Jason.
Okay, see, this is where we disagree on this. See, she is conflating the government retaliating against CBS or, mainstream news in general. Well, that's not the case. It's Donald Trump himself that's suing them, right? He started that suit before he got inaugurated, as a matter of fact. So it's just the person. It's not the government. So let's get that idea out of the way. However, I think this is a very good thing, right? Putting the corporate press, the mainstream news on notice, right? Like Piers was saying, they've been getting away with just this heavy liberal bias. They've been running the game. They've got cartels and all kinds of stuff. They are the ones that set the news cycle, or at least they used to be, but not anymore. People are fleeing away from the corporate press by the droves because they're tired of getting lied to. They're tired of the liberal bias. They're tired of seeing all these news stories get manipulated into oblivion. They're tired of getting their ideas pushed upon them when they don't agree with none of this, right? Right? This is good to push back on this because you can say, oh, well, they just edited it for time, blah, whatever. But yeah, come on. Let's not beat around the bush here. They tried to make her look better for a presidential election, right? Donald Trump is suing over election interference and all this stuff. Good luck. Don't think he's going to win on that. But, it's good to put these people on notice because they need to get back to journalistic integrity. They need to go to the closet, open the door, find their scruples, and shove them back into their bodies, for crying out loud. Instead of manipulating everybody, instead of putting this heavy liberal bias, just because you have a liberal bias. No, I'm sorry. We need to get back to journalistic integrity in this country, right? If you were going to be, quote unquote, the news source for the country, you need to get your scruples back in order, right? And, report on the stories fairly. Report on these stories, right? What CBS did was clearly selective editing to try to make Kamala Harris look better. Right? It wasn't just editing for time. They made way too many edits, right? They took sections and they would pull certain sections out and move them around. No, I'm sorry. That's not just editing down for time. You are trying to take something that may try to kind of make coherent sense to try to make a coherent answer. That's what they did. That is wrong of them to do, especially for a presidential election. It's just wrong. I like this because it's putting them on notice. We need to get these people back to the idea of fair reporting on this news. I can't stand this. This is what I do on a normal basis. This is why I ended my last segment with, I point out manipulations of the corporate press, because it's not just things like this. It's the way they phrase things. They'll use qualifiers when they don't need to try to push a narrative to make you think in a certain direction. Right? Like them coming out with the whole Trump and Zelensky thing the other day, calling it disastrous and all this other stuff. Well, yeah, that's their point of view, but you're not trying to give out your point of view if you're trying to give out the news. You just tell them what happened. Don't call it disastrous. Don't call it a debacle, which that's all they've been doing. It's a debacle. It's disastrous. Oh, they're on the side of Putin. Well, not really. I mean, make the argument outside of the news segment, for crying out loud. But that's not what they do. Never. That is never what they do. And she knows that, but she's just trying to, I'm not sure what she's trying to do here, but, she's starting to come around. She's starting to see the manipulations of the corporate press. She kind of understands this, so I'm going to leave her alone on this one, and we'll keep going.
I'm going to bring out a rival book called I Told You, which will be all my columns for the New York Post. I mean, a lot that I wrote about Joe Biden's cognitive problems and why he wasn't fit to be president of the United States. And I'm not even American. And I could tell he wasn't fit to be your president. So I'm afraid it was there in plain. Everyone could see it. He kept falling over. He kept saying stupid stuff. He kept, everything about his behavior screamed cognitive problems and rapid decline. And the people who tried to pretend otherwise, when we had that debate last summer, there it was. Suddenly the great lie about Biden's cognitive ability was laid bare. And what happened? Total mayhem for the Democrats. He had to go. They parachute in Kamala Harris. She's no good. They get a whacking. Trump's president again. And it all came down to the fact they all conspired to lie to the American people about the state of Biden's health.
No.
No?
No, I think that 75%, which for you is great, Piers. 75% of what you just said is true, but I think there's some pieces here that I think we have to consider.
That's a good percentage.
First of all, that clip you showed. Yeah. Hey, for you, man, this is like record stuff. You are, first of all, the clip we showed was from October of 2020, right? That's before a re-election decision. That's before President Biden becomes President Biden. And I think at that moment it was premature.
Hang on. Let me just repeat what they say in the blurb for the book. What you will learn makes President Biden's decision to run for re-election seem shockingly narcissistic, self-delusional, and reckless. That decision was taken long before that interview took place.
That interview was from October of 2020, it showed on the screen. Did I misread it?
Yeah.
October of 2020 is when Biden defeated Trump.
Well, okay, but he ran for election as well in 2020.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
you're
okay.
saying that clip is around the time he ran for real.
Let me
You're
correct
wrong.
that.
You can just concede the point.
Hang on. I'm going to give you a win. I misread it. I thought they were talking about his decision to run originally. Okay. So you're right.
Thank you.
You're right.
Thank you.
No, it's an important clarification.
I won one.
You won. I'm giving you that. I'm giving you that. I misread it.
So
now they're talking about decision.
But let me get back to my more important point.
Yeah. So your point is not an unfair one. Because actually, I guess Jake Tapper would say, well, it wasn't as obvious in October 2020 as it is now.
That's all I'm trying to say.
And Joe Biden did win the election the month after that interview. So clearly the American people did not think it was that obvious, even though he was hiding in a bunker at the time.
And Piers, that's exactly where I'm going. I'm saying at the time of the interview you just showed, Biden was aging, and personally, I didn't think he was as strong as he should have been to be president. I don't think anybody, or almost anybody at that age, is strong enough to be president in all the ways. But at that point, he wasn't at the decline, and I think it was reasonable for journalists, I don't care what political persuasion you have, for journalists to say, hey, until we have a medical a certainty here, or at least a medical insight here, let's not essentially claim that he's senile.
Okay. Well, you know what,
by the time you get from 2020 to 2022,
man's hiding in his basement.
By the time you get to 2022, now you do
you need
know.
to be an expert.
All right, look, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is Jake is going to get asked these questions. He'll be able to answer. I'll be interested in what he has to say about it, because he's a smart guy, and it'll be, I'm sure, a very readable book. But the bigger picture is really how the mainstream media collectively, I think, deliberately went out of their way to mask it as that second, the 4 years of his tenure as president, how that unraveled. It was very quickly obvious to a lot of people, including me with the columns I wrote.
But some of us were lied to too, Piers. That's all I'm saying.
No, I get it.
It wasn't all a conspiracy. Some of us didn't know either.
I get it.
Some of us had our suspicions.
I get it, I hear you.
That's all I'm saying.
I've given you one win. You're not getting another one.
All right, so Piers absolutely screwed that all up. But do you see where they're trying to go with this? He ends that with like, oh, we were lied to as well. That's not what it's about, right? It was plain to see for everybody what took place from 2019 until 2024, until that debate, until that disastrous debate, was one of the most widespread, biggest gaslighting campaigns that have ever taken place in United States history, in my opinion. In the far future, when somebody goes to look up what is the definition of gaslighting, they're going to tell the story of a well past his prime Joe Biden trying to run to be the president of the United States, and the entirety of the corporate press, the mainstream news, covering up the fact that this guy was in vast mental decline. He was going down fast, and they were like, everything's fine, nothing to see here. You're an ageist if you point out what's clearly taking place here, right? Like they're going to look up the emperor has no clothes, and a picture of Joe Biden is going to come up on that debate stage, for crying out loud. That's what's going to happen here. It's not the fact that, Jake Tapper is coming out with this book, right? It's the fact that it's blatant hypocrisy, because the guy never stood up, never came out and said, hey, I think we see a problem here. The mainstream media is trying to cover this up, until it was popular to do so. He didn't ever push back. I pointed this out on my regular videos, and my longtime viewers know this, so I'm going to repeat myself here, and I'm sorry for doing so. But they tried to put out evidence, right? There was a news article, the news article that I covered on this, attached a clip of Jake Tapper actually, questioning, I forget who it was. Who was it? It was somebody. It doesn't even matter who it was, but going after them like, oh, well, 70% of America, they think Joe Biden's too old, as evidence as to him pushing back against Joe Biden's age. Well, come to find out, that took place a month or so after the debate performance, when it was popular to go in on Joe Biden's age, when it was popular to say, hey, Joe Biden was too old. What happened here? Right? This was one of the most covered up scandals, I think, in political history, right? And it wasn't even that bad of a scandal, right? It wasn't some sexual thing, right? Like it usually is. That, because you ever notice that, by the way? These are always some sort of, oh, he was doing something with somebody that he shouldn't have been doing type of thing. But anyway, outside of that, the largest gaslighting campaign in U.S. history over a 5-year period. We were lied to and lied to and lied to over and over and over and over and over again. These people, his cabinetry, got on national television and said this.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. I can't even keep up with it.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision, he has knowledge, he has judgment, he has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
Aha! He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in.
Yes. Yeah, that took place, as a matter of fact, over and over and over and over again. And then when they could not get out from underneath it, this was the time when they said, oh, we were lied to. Oh, they lied to us. As if we can't see, and then trying to use the excuse, let's appeal to authority on this. I am not a doctor. I am but a political pundit. I cannot say whether he's in mental decline or not. Like, really? We can all see that. They were, once again, propping up Joe Biden, trying to say, oh, well, him falling up the stairs and off of a bike and off of a stage and over a sandbag that should have clearly not been on that stage. That was just his lifelong stutter. That's what they tried to tell us. Once again, like I said, in the far future, when you go look up gaslighting campaign, you saw that, huh? They're going to tell you the story of a well past his prime Joe Biden trying to present himself as the leader of the free world when he clearly wasn't in charge. He was clearly naked, had no clothes on. But I just find it funny that even they're still, till this day, like, we were lied to, y'all. We were absolutely lied to. And Jake Tapper's writing an entire book on this. How shameful of the corporate press trying to shake his finger at the very system that he is a part of. He took place in. He never came out before it was popular to come out against Joe Biden. He never said a dang thing. If he had any suspicions, right? Any suspicions at all, he should have said something. He should have spoke up. But that was against the narrative. Oh, we got master of evil over here, Donald Trump. He's going to come in and destroy the country, and we don't want that. We would rather put a corpse in office than have Donald Trump come in and clean up America. That's what that message tells you. Didn't say a damn thing, and now he's writing a book about it, y'all. This is another gaslighting campaign. Jake Tapper is trying to gaslight you again by trying to get on the side of the common sense that says something should have been done about this, and it was covered up, y'all. It's just absurd. All of it is absurd. It's just nonsense, if you ask me. But I think I've rambled on for quite long enough, if you ask me. But yeah, I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section, y'all. This blows my mind, these people still trying to make this argument here that, oh, we didn't know Joe Biden had a great brain, for crying out loud. The guy should have never ran in 2020. He should have never ran. His mental decline was apparent then. It just wasn't quite as bad. But that's the definition of mental decline, right? We could all see it. We all knew it. Many people were very, very vocal about this in 2019 when he was campaigning from his basement. I wonder why they did that. Oh, it's because of COVID. Right. Exactly. More gaslighting, folks. The setup was there, everything was there, but y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would be greatly appreciated, y'all. I really do need y'all's help on this one, but y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.